Hello friends, happy Thursday. I am a bit later than usual, but I want to jump in here and chat with you for a few minutes. I'll let Facebook do its thing and let everyone know that I'm live. Get this shared. If you're joining us live, say hello. If you are watching the replay, please say replay. Type it in the comments so we can talk. Let's see. All right, so today I am super excited because I want to talk to you about something that comes up quite a bit when I'm working with clients. And I had this conversation with a client actually last week, and it was a mind-blowing moment for her, okay? So one of the things that I hear so often is, people being afraid that the past is going to repeat itself. They're afraid to take that opportunity, to make that investment, to, do something that maybe is risky because they're afraid that the last thing that happened, the failure, the insecurity, the whatever circumstance that unfolded is going to repeat itself, okay? And so the thing I said to this particular client is simply, the new thing that you're entering into has the potential to repeat itself, to turn out like the other thing if you approach it, if you have the same mindset, mentality, and energy that you had with that old thing. Let me say that again. If you are doing something, if you're taking a new opportunity, you're entering into a new relationship, you are, getting into a new job, you're making an investment, and there's a part of you that is being haunted by your past because the past thing failed or it didn't work out or, the circumstance was a bit of a chaotic mess and you're afraid that that's going to repeat itself and that is the thing that's holding you back. I want you to know that the only way it's going to repeat itself or even have the potential to repeat itself is if you approach it the same way you did that other situation. And what I'm talking about is in your mindset, your mentality, your energy, and your action. Does that make sense? And so what we're saying is, your past doesn't matter for the most part. Your past doesn't matter. It doesn't have to have an impact on what you're doing now or the next step that you take, provided you are choosing to think different thoughts, to show up differently in your energy, to take different actions moving forward, right? And you see this a lot with, I think a lot of us have had these experiences with romantic relationships and that kind of thing, where you have a history of a certain kind of relationship. You have a history of a certain kind of partner. You have a history of a certain kind of outcome. And it seems to be the same situation over and over and over again. I also see this with people who are dealing with financial challenges or jobs. They leave one job, they go to another job in hopes that it's going to get better, but they haven't changed. They've changed their environment, they've changed what's going on around them, but they haven't changed themselves. They haven't changed how they're approaching it. They haven't changed their mentality, their mindset, their energy, or the actions that they're taking. Does that make sense? Abraham Hicks says this statement that says, wherever you go, there you are, right? So when you leave a circumstance or a situation and you're not making any shifts and changes in your mindset, your thoughts, your beliefs, your energy, if you're not doing any of that work, of course, that situation is likely going to repeat itself. Or it's going to have some remnants of the past in that circumstance. You can move into a new job and make more money, but if you don't change your financial mindset, you can still be broke. You can win the lottery, have all the money that you could have ever imagined in the world. But if you don't change your financial understanding, your education, your how you manage your dollars and cents, if you don't shift your mindset, probably going to go bankrupt or blow it all or be back in a situation that you were before, because that's your set point. That is your sort of natural space that you're in, right? Same thing with your health. If you are doing all the things to lose weight and then you stop doing those things, guess what's going to happen? You go backwards because you haven't changed the actual habits and mindset and beliefs related to that thing. And so when I'm working with clients and I'm talking about mindset and I'm talking about expanding your life and going to the next level and transitioning and changing, I'm not just saying do things differently. Yes, that's part of it. I'm not just saying reach for that opportunity, say yes to that job, say yes to that new habit. I'm saying change how you think and feel and approach these circumstances. Because if you don't, history most definitely will repeat itself to some degree. And I'm not saying that to scare you, I'm saying that to empower you, right? So when I'm working with a client and they say, hey, they come to me and say, hey, I want to change my life. I want to, change my business. I want to be better in this relationship, or I want to do whatever it is that they want to do. We always begin with mindset. We always look at, well, what are the thoughts and beliefs that you've had? What are the things that you were thinking and feeling and experiencing in this circumstance? Let's change that while we're changing your actions, while we're changing, how you show up in the world, while we are shifting and changing the things you say yes to and the things you say no to. This is critical. Without that, you're simply in a different place having the exact same experience over and over and over again. Okay? So when I was speaking to this client, she said, I have this feeling for this new opportunity. I'm really excited about it, but I'm a little bit concerned. Like, is this, and the question she had was, is this going to be the same experience that I had before with this other thing? And you can fill in the blank with, is this relationship going to be the same? Is this, health situation going to be the same? And my response was, well, it most certainly can, because it could definitely turn out the same way if you approach it the same way. The question is, what are you willing to do differently? Are you willing to look at your thoughts? Are you willing to take a different approach? Are you willing to get a little risky with some of your actions? Are you willing to invest money? Are you willing to, get out of your comfort zone? Are you willing to approach things that, feel like the unknown for you? Are you willing to do things differently? If the answer is yes, then it gets to be different. If the answer is no, it's probably going to repeat itself to some degree. So the beginning, and not even the beginning, just a huge portion of any kind of thing that you want to change in your life, whether it's your finances, your physical body, your community, your family, your partnerships, your business, your career, your health, if you want to change it for the better, if you want to change it and get to the next level, if you want to change it and grow, evolve, and expand, then you have to be willing to look at those thoughts. You have to be willing to learn how to shift what's going on up here. Think about your normal day. 9 times out of 10, none of us are consciously aware of what's going on up here. Most of us are operating on autopilot. Most of us are going through the day, going through the motions, and our thoughts are running rampant. If we are not being the director of our thoughts, if we are not being mindful of that, if we're not being intentional with that, if we're not choosing them wisely and course correcting when something doesn't feel good and, changing the dynamic that we have with our thoughts, if we're not doing that, and I'm not saying you have to do it 24/7, but if you don't have some kind of practice, if you don't have some kind of understanding of what's going on in your mind, then you're simply on autopilot all the time. And then we get 10 years down the road and we go, nothing has changed. Well, nothing has changed because nothing has changed up here. Nothing has changed because you haven't been proactive with your changes. If you eat the same way every day for 10 years, you don't drink more water, you don't move your body, you don't get checkups at the doctor, 10 years down the road, it's pretty likely that you're going to have something come up and you're going to go, how did I end up here? Right? Because you are operating on autopilot. So my invitation to you today is to look at your life, look at the aspects of your life that maybe are okay. Some of them maybe are not okay. Maybe they're far from okay. And I want you to ask yourself, what are the thoughts that you're thinking? Are you being intentional with them? Do you have some kind of practice? What are you feeding and fueling your mind? Are you willing to do things differently? Because if you're not willing to do things differently, then so be it. Like, you get to live that life. You have that choice. You have that free will. But if you want it to be different, you have to be willing to look at that. You have to be willing to look at your thoughts. Look at the beliefs that you have about money, about people, about yourself, about the community, about the world, about parenting, about your job. Like, you have to be willing to look at those beliefs and start shifting and changing them so that they empower you moving forward. Not so they limit you, not so they repeat the past that you've already experienced. I used to say your past doesn't matter unless you wish to repeat it. I didn't used to say it, I still say it, right? Your past doesn't matter unless you want to repeat it, meaning it doesn't have to automatically be invited into your present and in your future. But if you do nothing differently, if you don't think differently, if you're not willing to grow and evolve and become different, then it will repeat itself, right? We are here to learn, expand, evolve. And we do this at varying degrees, and we do this in various points in our lives. Some of us do it more than others. Some of us choose to do it more than others. But that's really what life is about. It's about learning. It's all learning. And I promise, if this video has found its way, this message has found its way into your life right now, there's a reason. There is something in your life that has the potential to be repeated that you don't want. And this is your call to action to start shifting and changing what's going on up here. Shifting and changing your approach to that circumstance, right? If that thing that you've been doing for so long hasn't been working for you, you got to do something else. And for a lot of people, I have a questionnaire that people fill out before we actually have, a free consultation to talk about if we're a good fit. And one of the questions on there is, why now? Why are you reaching out now? And the main answer that I get to that question is because what I'm doing isn't working. It's working to create a certain life that I'm not willing to do anymore. Sometimes I get the answer because I've tried everything else and it hasn't worked. I've tried to do it alone and it doesn't work. And I'm ready to do things differently. So if you're watching this, if you're seeing the replay, if you see this on YouTube, if you get this in your inbox, this message is for you. And it's time to take an inventory of your life and to look at the various areas of your life and ask yourself, am I okay with the way that things are? Is this the kind of life that I want to live? And if not, it is your responsibility to start making changes. It is your responsibility to start looking at ways to grow yourself, to do things differently, to take that next step, to think differently, right? Because if you don't, you're just repeating your life over and over and over again. And that's okay for some people. Like, if life is okay for you and that's a good life for you, then great. But if you're looking at certain parts of your life that you want to be different, things that don't fit who you are today or who you want to be tomorrow, this is what you have to do. Is it always easy? No. Is it worth it? Yes. Can I help you? Absolutely. Okay? So, that is your message for today. And I have to tell you, when I gave that response to the client that I was talking to last week, she's actually mentioned it, and she'll probably see this video and know I'm talking about her, but she's mentioned that response a couple of times, and she said, it really hit me, and it keeps coming up, that if I continue doing what I'm doing, if I approach this new thing the way I approach that past thing, of course it's going to repeat itself. So it's up to me to do things differently. And listen, I walk this walk all the time. I do this in my work. I do this in my life daily. If I find that something's not working and I want to change it, then I start thinking about, well, what am I thinking that created that? I start doing the active mindset work, the energy work, and take different action to do things differently. That's how it changes. I am a walking example of this work. I do it all of the time. Daily, I do this work, right? And I don't say that to say that this is perfect and it's always easy. It's not, but it is always worth it. And every single client I've ever worked with has said that it is absolutely worth it. So, what area of your life are you ready to transform? And what are you willing to do differently? And what comes up as that next step to do things differently? And let me just give you a couple of thoughts before I hop off of here. A couple of thoughts on how to figure out what to do differently, right? I actually have a new upgraded training that I put together that I'll probably be announcing next week, and I can send you the link to sign up for it once it's available. But one of the things that I talk about in that training is doing things differently, right? And how do you know what to do? Well, there are a couple of ways to figure that out. If you're ready to create something different and you're not quite sure what step to take, there are a couple of options. Number one, there's probably something you've been thinking about already that you're not doing, that you're talking yourself out of, that you're making excuses for, that you feel like you're not ready for, that you're afraid of, right? There's probably something, some thought, some action. Maybe it's, taking a class, signing up for a course. Maybe it's reaching out to someone and making a phone call. Maybe it's joining a gym, or, reaching out to me and, asking how we can work together or something like that. It's something that you've already been thinking about, but you've been avoiding it. You've been talking yourself out of it. That is a really good place to begin. Okay? If you don't have one of those things, then what comes to mind? What is something that, pay attention to your day-to-day sort of life and see what feels inspiring. Pay attention to what's going on in your inner landscape. And as you start questioning, what's the next step? I'm ready to do things differently. What's that next step? Pay attention to the intuitive nudges that you get, because I promise they're there. And do that. The other option is to just decide to do something completely different. This sounds crazy, but drive home a different way. Or go to a different coffee shop, or drive to a different side of town that you don't typically go to. Go to a different grocery store. Shake things up in your life. Do things differently. When you start doing that, it's like when you go into a cluttered room and you start moving things around. Number one, you start finding a bunch of stuff, but you move the dust. Things rise up, and you shake things up. You move stagnant energy, and that can be really powerful too. Okay? So I want you to start thinking about this. There are lots of things you can do. What is it that you're choosing to do? And if you don't know what to do, and you're in a position where you want to make a change, maybe multiple changes, and you don't know where to begin, and you want some support, and you want someone by your side to kind of hold your hand and walk you through this, then let's talk about it, right? Let's see if I'm a good fit. If this feels like a good conversation, if you connect and you want to have that conversation, reach out and let's book a call for a free consultation. We can see if we're a good fit, okay? Just post a comment below this video, send me a message, email me. You can find the link on my website. You can message me on Facebook. There's lots of ways to get in contact with me. But if that feels like the next step for you, Let's talk. I promise there is something that has come up in this video for you that is your next step. And I want to invite and inspire you to take that next step. Okay? Whatever that is for you, try it out, test it, do things differently so that you can change your future experience. Okay? Remember, your past doesn't matter unless you wish to repeat it. If you don't want to repeat it, let's start shifting and changing those thoughts. The energy, your actions, all of that, okay? All right, friends, I hope this was helpful for you. Just a reminder, excuse me, next week I will not be live. I'm taking some time off, but I will have some pre-recorded videos that will be popping up here. If you don't catch them on Facebook, because Facebook can be weird sometimes, feel free to hop on over to my YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to my channel, like the video, comment, and feel free to share it if this feels like, it would be beneficial to anyone in your circle. Okay? Hope this is helpful. Let me know if you have questions. Feel free to post any questions that you have for me below. And I hope you have a great rest of your week and weekend, and I will chat with you soon. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.